Robert Ferringo here once again with your college hoops handicapping extravaganza, NCAA tournament style. We have broken down the first three regions of the bracket. Now, last but certainly not least, the Midwest region. Before we get to that, and my esteemed colleague, Raphael Esparza, I always point to the wrong side. He's on this side of me. One of these times, I will get it. I have to mention, down below in the description, make sure you click on that link and take advantage of the free $60 that we at Doc Sports are offering you to be applied to the purchase of any package in any sport from any handicapper. Look, it is the least that we can do for you taking some time out of your day to listen to us. Be sure to go to Doc Sports YouTube channel. We have plenty of free play videos in a variety of sports from any one of our 12 top tier handicappers. All right, Raphael, Midwest region. Okay, this is it. This is the last one that we're breaking down. First things first, when you saw this bracket and you saw the matchups and saw the numbers come out, was there any game that jumped out at you in terms of just being surprised by the spread?
There's one game, and hope the boss man puts pause on or answers the phone right now because it's between Wisconsin and toothpaste Colgate. Just thought this number was way too high. Wisconsin was playing some really good ball as of late, but ever since they lost to Nebraska, that game just to me just turned me off on them. And Colgate can put up some numbers. I know the number I made this game like around 5-6, and when I had 6 on my notepad, I circled it. That means I have a big question mark that 6 was a little bit too high. 8, I just think the number is way too high for the Raiders. Wisconsin could probably get the W in advance, but wow, I think it's going to be a tight game. Toothpaste can shock a lot of brackets if they could pull off the upset.
You know, it's interesting that you point out this game because it kind of dovetails with some of the themes that we've had in some of these videos. Number one is the Big Ten. What are they going to do? What can they expect? Can we trust the teams from this conference after watching them flame out repeatedly over the last few NCAA tournaments? And also, you know, it's funny that you mentioned you jotted down this number as a 5.5, maybe around 6, something like that. This is a 3-14 matchup, okay, with the Big Ten regular season champion. 12 years ago, this number would have been 12.5. You know, is it getting to the point where these numbers are creeping down on the underdogs so low that there's more value with the power conference teams and with the favorites? Or is there just that much parity in college basketball right now where really you almost don't want to be laying out points at all?
Yeah, it's parity. This is totally opposite when it comes to college football. It's parity in college basketball. It's so tight. And with that, I hate to say I keep on doing a broken record, but the transfer portal and the parity, you have to put both of them in. And I think that's why you're going to see more bigger upsets in years past. I'm not saying Kyle Colgate's going to win. I'm not going to say in our last video Longwood's going to win, but I just think the parity and these numbers, you said it, 10 years ago, Wisconsin's double digit, probably 15, 16, and the public's teasing it and parlaying it, and probably put a huge heavy money line parlay at minus 2,000 with a whole bunch of other teams. But no, it's not like that anymore. If you look at all the games on Thursday and Friday, there's really not that one big spread that say, oh, this one's probably should be a little bit higher. Why is it not closer to 20? College basketball has changed in the past last 5 years.
All right, for me, the number that shocked me in this region was probably the most surprising number I thought of the entire first round of the NCAA tournament. I know you hate the Big East, but come on. Providence, only a 2-point favorite over South Dakota State. And look, I like South Dakota State. Anyone that has followed my service this year knows that I dig the Jackrabbits, that I've been using them early in offense. They are the number one offensive team in the country. They're number 2 in scoring behind only Gonzaga. Number 1 in field goal percentage offense, number 1 in 3-point shooting. They can fill it up. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But come on, man. Like, you're talking about the Big East regular season champion, one of the 5 or 6 most experienced teams in the country. All right. They have some future pros, maybe not full-on NBA players, but some future pros on that Providence roster. I don't want to get too much into this game, so we're going to talk about it in a minute, Raphael, but will you at least agree with me that that number probably should have been 4.5, 5 at least, and that it's a little disrespectful to the Big East that it's only a 2-point number. I mean, this is a 4-13 matchup, for God's sake.
I made this number 3.5, 4, a little bit more on the 4 heavy side. So yeah, I agree that his game has some value. I'll do a double take on this because guys, here's me. I'm a totals guy, so I was really excited to see what this total for the Jackrabbits were gonna be. So it kind of throws me off a little bit, but yeah, for the way I was high on Providence all through the middle of the season, I kept on people in February asking, what's a team you should watch out for? And Providence was always in the top 10, top 15. I was like, keep an eye out for the Friars. They can make some noise if they come into the tournament red hot. Now, they're not coming into the tournament red hot, but they could still make some noise. I they should have, if they could keep the scoring low, I think they should have no problem winning and covering. Now, if it's a high-scoring game like the Jackrabbits, and if the Rabbits are hitting their 3-ball, uh-oh.
Look, South Dakota State could win this game. They could win this game easily, and it wouldn't stun me. I'm not surprised really by anything that happens in the first round of the NCAA tournament. But I don't, again, the number's off. The number isn't right. There's value with Providence in this game. Anyone that has watched South Dakota State over the last few years, and I have, they're always the same team, right? They're a bunch of guys that just run around, shoot threes, very efficient offensively, but they have struggled anytime they have gone in the non-conference and played these teams with the high-end athleticism that you see in major conferences. Providence can have a layup line on the interior if they want. As long as they do. If South Dakota State comes out, starts banging threes early, gets that momentum, gets the crowd into it, all that stuff, then Providence will be in trouble. But if Providence can just stay mentally tough, and that's one of the things we've seen from this team, it should just be a layup line on the interior with them. Providence has played against and beaten much better teams than South Dakota State in this game. And again, this is a 4-13 matchup. There are 11 seeds that are favored by more in their games than this 4 seed is against 13. I don't get it. I don't understand it, and I don't like it. All right, Raphael, what is the best first-round matchup in the Midwest region? Maybe not from a gambling perspective, or it could be, but just the game that you're excited about, that you're ready to pop popcorn and sit back and be entertained.
I'm going to come to one of my backyards that I live in. I'm going to say LSU, the game is, because I really want to see how LSU comes out. We all know Will Wade's in an unemployment line, probably still getting some money, so maybe not an employment line in a hurry. But what's the LSU Tigers? They came out red hot, top 10, I think they were back when non-conference. And then all of a sudden conference play came, and they just stunk against conference play. Now they have no head coach. How's that in the locker room? So this is going to be a very, very difficult game. I'm a little bit shocked at the number, but I think at the same time, I put a big X next to it. I don't care what the number would have came out. I don't care if Iowa State would have came out and been a -15 favorite. I wouldn't have bet this game because I want to see what these LSU Tigers come out mentally and all that. Iowa State can easily win this game and upset 11 versus 6 or whatever. But it's just too many question marks for me on the other side of the court with LSU.
It's funny, Iowa State, it's fun. These two teams, if they had been matched up with pretty much anyone but each other, I would have been all over. Okay, I would have been betting against LSU because of all the reasons that you mentioned. We've done these videos for months, and I've been telling you, LSU is not as good as people think they are. They started 15-1. When you watch this team play, they are ugly offensively. If they are not turning teams over, they're fantastic defensively. Top 10 in the country, fantastic defensively. But if they're not turning teams over and dominating the paint, they are brutal to watch in the half court. Now, Iowa State, again, I would have taken Texas A&M before I took Iowa State.
Yes,
Iowa State
I agree.
Is a little bit questionable when you look at what they did and didn't do in the non-conference. They have some good guards. They overachieved a little bit, but this is an NCAA tournament caliber team. And I feel like if they had been positioned anywhere else in the bracket, they would have been a much bigger favorite. You probably would have been able to get them at like 8.5, 9.5 against some of the other 6 seeds. But here they are facing an LSU team that is just completely off the rails. And it just happens to be a bad matchup for Iowa State. Iowa State turns the ball over. They're one of the worst teams in the Big 12 in terms of turnovers. And they're facing one of the best defenses in the country. So I agree with you. There's just big X over this game for me. So, all right, I want to go back to that Providence and South Dakota State game just for a second. One of the things we've talked about is that you have to consider, and this is kind of a higher level handicapping thing that I think a lot of people don't take into consideration, is what time of the day these games are played. Now, Raphael, do you think that one of the things pushing that South Dakota State line down is the fact that it is one of the first games of the NCAA tournament, and people are like, upset? Give me the upsets. Let's get in on it's March Madness. Get in on the upset action. Do you think that that's one of the things driving all the action on South Dakota State right now is the fact that it is one of the earlier games?
That and their style of offense. Because let's face it, if you're going to watch a game early that you were drinking all night and it's St. Patty's, so you're drinking green beer at 8 in the morning, you want offense when you're sitting there in the books or at home. And I think that's another thing. And granted, some of the media people think this is a game to watch out that the Rabbits can upset Providence. But at the same time, people who look at the papers and look at that, wow, the Rabbits put up a lot of points, second behind Gonzaga. This could be a fun matchup. Maybe they beat Providence. So I think it's a little bit of both. But yeah, time slot, it's a horrible, horrible time slot for the Rabbits. If this was at any other time for them, if this was a Friday game, this might be a totally different a number, maybe the same total. I'm a little bit shocked that we haven't seen 150 when it comes to this total, but I would not be shocked if Providence goes down to -1.5.
Still can't believe it. All right, my best first round matchup in the next game that we're going to break down is Iowa-Richmond. All right, two teams that both playing their best basketball at the right time of the year. Both won their conference tournaments last week. Raphael, Iowa, a 9.5 point favorite at open. They are now a 10.5 point favorite. They looked great. Are you worried at all about the letdown from them? This is one of those 5-12 matchups. What are you seeing when you see these two teams and this number and the line movement? Break it down for me.
This is another game where I'm probably not going to bet it, but I might take a shot at the second half because, again, here's the one who's controlling the tempo. If it's a high-pace case, like we've seen Iowa put up 75 against Purdue, 80 against Indiana, and I think they hit a century mark, I think a couple weeks ago, then I think Iowa blows out Richmond. But if Richmond could keep this game like 64 or under, then I think the Hawkeyes might be. Then I think the Hawkeyes in the Big Ten be like, why did the Big Ten get 9 teams in, and the Richmond Spiders just wiped out Iowa? So this is one of those ones that can go either way. This is all about tempo and style of play. Who's going to control the tempo from the start? And I think, again, I said this in our last video, look at the halftime score, and you'll know who controlled the tempo pretty much. Because if this is a high-scoring game, like I said, I keep on going with when Indiana and against Ohio State when they had 84 points against them. If I was in the 40s at halftime, this one could be ugly in the second half because I think Richmond's going to go in there thinking, hey, we need to score with them to try to steal this one. And I just don't think they have the offensive power. And that's not their style of play, is to try to outscore someone and put a higher point like in 80s. That's not the Spiders. They want to hold their opponents to 65 or less.
Which they do with their tempo. They're one of the few teams in the country that still relies on that old Princeton offense. And I was really happy. Boring. Hey, it's all about execution and efficiency, baby. Love it. Love it. Ask the UCLA Bruins about that Princeton offense. I was really happy for Richmond. This, again, anyone that's followed my service over these last few years knows I use Princeton a lot. This is a team I follow very, very closely. This is another one of the most experienced teams in the country. A lot of their guys came back, took advantage of that COVID year. So they got some 5th, 6th year seniors. And this is a team that was saving up for a run. They didn't cash in as much as I would have liked early in the season. They didn't hit the ground running like I thought they would with all of that experience. But they were playing possum, waiting for this time of the year, and they're playing well. They have a bunch of guys that can hit the three. They know exactly who they are and what they're about. But, Raphael, is Iowa just a freight train right now that we should be jumping on board with? Or with that line swing, is the value now worth betting against them? And before you answer, I just have to say, they're 9-1 straight up and 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 games. And 11 of their last 12 wins have come by double digits.
Yeah, and that only loss was at Illinois and only lost by 2 points. So that could have easily been a W for that one. I can see that, but again, I'm going to keep on sound like a broken record. If Richmond controls a tempo and Iowa can't put up their high points offense on there, then it doesn't matter if who comes in and how many games you've won and what conference you're in. It's all about style of play. Iowa needs to play their style of play. Even at loss, they still hit 72 points. So it's not like Illinois played their style of game and all that. It's all about style. Richmond, again, if they can keep this game 65 or under, I think the Spiders can make me look like a joke. I said in our last video that the Big Ten could have a redemption year because maybe Iowa might be going home.
Wouldn't it be funny that all the things they couldn't do in the NCAA tournament with Luka Garza, one of the best college players of the last quarter century, he leaves, and now might be the time for Iowa to make that run. All right, I want to stay in the Big Ten and talk about a game that you mentioned earlier, Wisconsin Colgate. Now, you said you were surprised by this line. You thought that it's a little generous with the Badgers. What is it about Colgate that you feel makes this a good matchup for them? And do you think that they really could win this game?
No, I don't think the Colgate could win this game. I just thought the number was a tad high. If with Wisconsin can probably play their ugly type game and maybe win like a 66-61 type of game like they beat on the road. I want to say Rutgers. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was Rutgers when they played that game. That's what type of game I'm going to see this one, even though Colgate wants a high scoring game on this one. But this is Wisconsin team can play that way. Normally, the old Wisconsin teams are just style of play, dead under. But they can score the rock as well. But I just think this is way too high. I think Colgate will probably put some points up. And I wasn't sold when they lost to Nebraska. That was just an ugly loss. And then they came back and laid a dud to Michigan State. So this is just not a good team that I've been shocked on. 2 weeks ago, they could have maybe been a number 2 seed, maybe been stole a 1 seed if other teams faltered out. But just the way they've been coming into this one, I'm not sold on them. They get the W, but the boss man and other Wisconsin people in Sauk Village may be drinking a lot on Friday because this one's going to be a tight one, I think.
Wisconsin right there with Arizona is 2 teams that were unranked to start the season, yet gained top 3 seeds in the tournament. I think that Wisconsin, along with the Wildcats, are the biggest overachievers in the country. I mean that in a good way. It's been impressive what this team has been able to do. However, I said this a few weeks ago in a little text thread with you, me, and Max, the Doc Sports college basketball handicapper, that I thought Wisconsin had peaked. And I do feel that way.
Yes.
They're 9-5 in their last 14 games. That loss as a double-digit favorite at home to Nebraska, that cost them an outright regular season Big Ten championship. They did lay the egg in the conference tournament. They just seem like they are trending downward. And here's something else to consider about Wisconsin. They have 12 victories this season by 5 points or fewer. They just don't have the style of play, the pace of play, and the overt athleticism to really run teams out of the gym. They play well, and I won't be stunned if they win this game by 11 or 12 points just with their execution, but they don't blow a lot of teams out. That's why it makes it hard to trust them to lay points. All right.
And keep an eye on, hold on, really quick on this one. They beat Purdue a couple weeks ago, 70-67. Purdue went 11. They shot 50% from the free throw line. They hit their free throws. They outplayed Wisconsin in the second half. That's a 3-game losing streak they come into the tournament. They won that game because Purdue couldn't hit free throws.
And let me ask you for a prediction here. This is the last game that tips off on Friday. Okay, so this is the chase game. This is the Alamo for a lot of bettors. Do you think that is going to drive money towards Wisconsin, which is the known commodity, the higher seed, the favorite, so therefore the squares will jump into safe hole? Or do you think that it's going to lead to more money coming in on Colgate? Because by that point, there will have been 3, 4, 5 first-round upsets and people want in on that action. Where do you see the majority of the betting coming in? And what do you think that'll do to the line since it is the last game of the first round?
During March Madness, the first 4 days, Friday night and Sunday night are the most important nights for chasing and for big line movements. Friday night, people who maybe lost all day Thursday, you have to see what the books did on Thursday. The books had a winning March Madness on Thursday. Because if they had a winning March Madness on Thursday and maybe came out a little bit slow on Friday afternoon, then they're double chasing on that late game. And what are they double chasing? They're going to bet the favorite and over or the favorite or under, but they're going to have that favorite under. So I think this one will go back to maybe 8.5. I don't see a 9 out there because some shops actually open up around 7, 7.5. I don't see that, but I would not be shocked if this one moves up a full half a point or a full point. But I would love to get Colgate plus 10. That'd be freaking backflips on that one. But I do see some line move because it's the Friday night. How did the public do Thursday, and how did the public do all day Friday?
Listen to the experts, boys and girls. Okay, if you like Colgate, don't bet it early. Wait out that line movement. You could steal that extra point and a half that ends up making the difference. All right, the last game that we are going to talk about is one that's kind of sneaky good. I'm kind of sneaky excited for this game. Two shaky teams, neither one of which I have high expectations for, but could provide us with a good game. And that's number 7 seed USC against number 10 Miami. Raphael, break it down for me.
Yeah, this one's man. I've been high on USC pretty much not the whole season. The USC UCLA game was fantastic the other day, but here's another one. I think they get upset on this one. I'm leaning towards taking the other side. This one's tough. This one's a tough game for me. I wanted to release a play on this one because I had USC coming out a little bit different, but Miami, they've just been playing there. They've covered 8 of their last 10 games. Some of them had a push. I forgot what 2 weeks ago they had a push. It all depends. Well, it's not my fault you didn't line shop. You could get a better number and not get a push, get a cover. But I just think Miami is trending a little bit. But I thought I was going to get Miami maybe +3. I thought USC money would come in right away and maybe get that +3. And I know USC's been a little bit on a downfall. I think they've only covered 3 games out of their last 10. But athletically, I think USC has the better athletes. Miami's trending better right now and playing better team ball, which team ball gets you to the next round.
No. USC they're just not good. They haven't played anybody. They haven't beaten anybody. They're just not a good team. I can't believe that they were a 7 seed, to be completely honest with you. And, Miami, I love the backcourt. Gotta love the backcourt. McGusty, Wong,
yes.
Charlie Moore. McGusty and Moore.
Charlie Moore's a stud.
Dude, they're both 24 years old, too. Almost 25. They're full-grown men. They're men playing in this NCAA tournament. The difference between a 19-year-old and a 24-year-old is, whew. But let me ask you real quickly, because you've ragged on the Big East because you're a Big East hater. Get out of here. We've both ragged on the Big Ten, deservedly because of how bad they've been. One of the things we haven't talked about is the ACC. The ACC has been kind of a joke this year, frankly. It's the worst the ACC has been in 30 years, almost. What are we going to see from the ACC? And do you think a team like Miami, honestly, they were undervalued in the ACC this year. Them and Notre Dame were cashing tickets left and right because people didn't realize how good they are. Do you see the ACC making some noise? And do you think that Miami can, put one in the W column and salvage a little ACC pride in this matchup?
If I did a bracket, I would have Miami advancing in this game. I don't do brackets. They could have easily won that game against Duke the other night. They only lost by 4 points. They had the tempo going into the second half. And USC comes in this game. Yeah, they haven't played anybody. They lost to UCLA twice, which UCLA is a very experienced team, and Arizona. A full, healthy Arizona team.
By double digits. They weren't competitive in either one of those games, though.
No, they weren't. But you just said the ACC. But this is not the same ACC team, so it's not like they were playing top-notch talent, and that's why they got here.
They beat Duke and Cameron Indoor. They almost beat them in the ACC tournament. They have been competitive against one of the top seeds in the tournament. USC has not. They got run out of the gym in both of their games against Arizona. So
I'm not taking that Duke. I'm not taking that Duke love, that Duke victory, because we both agree. Mike Krzyzewski, I think that down the stretch, it might kind of hurt them. I know someone in our comments last video bashed on this, but hey, go back and watch the video, buddy, that bashed on this. You can see the players on their faces on the bench in the second half. The faces on the players tells the story, not the athletes on the floor trying to win the games. But I just think, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you're 100% right. We are 100% right. Like, they have 3 true freshman starters. These are 18, 19-year-old kids who are carrying around on their shoulders the weight of this guy's 40-something year, pantheon career. That's a lot of emotional pressure to throw on a kid that was at his prom 12 months ago. So, all right, Raphael, give me an upset, or at least somebody that should be on upset alert. And who do you think wins this region?
Upset alert should be Auburn. I'm not sold on their type of how they've been playing as of late. I'm not saying they're going to get crushed or get blown out, but if there's a 2 seed that falls, I would not be shocked if it's Auburn that's falling in the Midwest. There's a couple ones. I like I said, we both made fun of Providence, South Dakota State, but we both can agree it would not shock us if the Rabbits are advancing. We just broke that one down. San Diego State Creighton to me is fantastic game. Can't wait to watch it because I'm more excited if San Diego State can advance. They have to play Kansas if Kansas advances. So I think the Midwest has probably the best second round possible matchups than the whole side of the bracket. So I'm really excited for Saturday's and Sunday's game on this one. So those are my one. I think Jackson State. I think Auburn's should be very, very worried. My winner on this one. I'm going chalk on this one. I'm going to say Kansas. If they can get past San Diego State, if I did a bracket, I have San Diego State advancing, but I would say it's Kansas winning this one.
You hate the Big East, but you love the Mountain West. I will never understand you. That is why I love you. Yeah, I'll say Colgate has got a chance against Wisconsin. Wisconsin's style of play, their deliberate pace, that could keep that game close late. And with these big underdogs, all they need is a little hope. All right. If they're within 5, 6, 7 points with 5, 6, 7 minutes left to play, that's when the magic happens. Right. So I feel like Wisconsin is not going to bury that Colgate team that has a lot of guys that can put the ball in the basket. In terms of the winner, I'm with you. I'm going to go with Kansas. There's going to be, look, we know what's going to happen the next 2 days. And we know everyone's going to overreact and talk about, oh, what a crazy tournament. Oh, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, there's going to be at least 2 number 1 seeds in the Final Four and probably a number 2 or number 3. There's going to be out of the Sweet 16, 12 of them will probably be higher seeds. On average, over the last 36 years, I think there's been an average of 3 double-digit seeds in the Sweet 16. And in the first round, on average, over the last 36 years, there's an average of 5 upsets involving teams seeded 11 through 16. Okay? So teams seeded 1 through 6. There's 24 of those games in the 4 regions. 5 of them, on average, over almost 4 decades, the double-digit seed's going to win. So don't get rattled by some of these upsets that we're going to see. Don't stray. This is all normal. This is what happens. It is a statistical certainty that 3, 4, 5 of those, 12, 13, 14 seeds are going to win their game. So at the end of the day, I think Kansas ends up on top. All right, Raphael, this is it. The madness is going to start in less than 24 hours. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, don't sleep on the NIT games. Don't sleep on the other tournament games. The ladies tip off soon as well. There's some great value on some lady March Madness as well. So, and my biggest advice to you guys gamblers, tomorrow's Thursday, that's St. Patrick's Day, but tomorrow's the start of the tournament. Don't blow all your money on the Thursday's games, and then you have nothing to do on Friday, nothing to do on Saturday because you blew all your wad on Thursday. Space it out, and don't be afraid to bet off on your number. If you took a future ticket on a Thursday, if you took a North Carolina Marquette game and North Carolina's 3.5, game goes at 4:30, and all of a sudden North Carolina is now -6. Don't be afraid to get off on that ticket and bet the other side. Try to put extra coin in your pocket. Don't just because there's a game on TV doesn't mean you need action on every game. Space it out. Be smart with your money. Be smart with your payroll because Thursday's only one day. You still got Friday. You got all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and then Sweet 16. And Sweet 16's here, and you're broke.
He is a wise man, boys and girls. Listen to the man. Building on that, yeah, the books must love it. They must wish that the opening day could be on St. Patty's Day every year because drinking and gambling, that's their bread and butter. To build on that, just don't be a hero. Okay, bet, have fun, but your money isn't worth more because you won it in the NCAA tournament. Just like I always say about winning on the Super Bowl is I can find more value in June on a Tuesday in Major League Baseball betting than I can sometimes on a Saturday of of the NCAA tournament. So you don't get hero points. Your money isn't worth more just because you won it. Have fun, but, be smart. So, all right, that's it. He's Raphael Esparza. I'm Robert Ferringo. We are Doc Sports. Carpe diem, and good luck.